Our nation has faced many important issues this past month, and I wanted to take the time to discuss some of the issues constituents have contacted me about. Commenting on my opposition to the U.S. military action in Syria, I received a letter from Tim in Batavia thanking me for my position. Tim does not want to see the U.S. engage in military action and hopes that a peaceful resolution will prevail. I agree with Tim and want to thank the more than 5,000 constituents who took the time to contact me and share their opinion on this important matter. I have deep respect for President Obama's role as our nation's commander-in-chief. Because of this, I waited for him to make his case in support of military action to the American people before I decided how I would vote if a vote was taken in the House. Ultimately, through congressional briefings, a meeting with the White House Chief of Staff, and President Obama's address to the nation, I did not feel an appropriate plan had been developed. I was left with serious unanswered questions. Additionally, the constituents who contacted me regarding Syria were overwhelmingly opposed to any U.S. military involvement. After great consideration, I believed they were justified in their opposition. Another important matter that came before the House this month was the vote on making cuts to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP or food stamps. I voted in favor of the SNAP cuts, and Rachel from Geneseo contacted me to share her disappointment in my vote. I want to assure Rachel that even with these cuts, no one will go hungry. Anyone who is eligible for food stamps will still receive them. SNAP is a critical part of the safety net the federal government provides for our most vulnerable citizens. However, under President Obama, the cost of this program has doubled from $40 billion a year to $80 billion a year. The administration has allowed states to waive the income and asset tests for eligibility that are a part of the existing law. The reforms passed by the House strengthen the integrity of the program. They encourage and enable work participation, close loopholes, and crack down on waste, fraud, and abuse. This will ultimately save the American taxpayers nearly $40 billion over 10 years, which is a cut of 5% of the current program. Again, I want Rachel and other concerned constituents to know that anyone who qualifies for SNAP benefits under the current law will receive the food stamps. I also continue to be contacted by constituents concerned about the impact Obamacare will have on them. I recently heard from Susan, who is 62 years old, lives in Canandaigua, and is employed by a small business. Susan took early Social Security and had only received 2 checks before being informed she would be required to work 30 hours a week instead of 20 to receive health care. Susan is now worried about her future and is afraid the cost of her health care is going to increase. Susan's story is just one of the many that constituents have shared with me. I continue to fight to repeal Obamacare as I believe there's a better way to fix our nation's health care system. The Republican Study Conference, which I am a member of, recently introduced the American Health Care Reform Act. This legislation would fully repeal Obamacare and offer a health care system rooted in the free market. This act would increase access and drive down the cost of health care through tax reforms and increased industry competition. And it would provide safeguards for those with pre-existing conditions. I support this legislation because I believe Obamacare cannot just be repealed. It must also be replaced. I'm honored to be your voice in Washington, and as always, thank you to those who continue to contact me. Thank you for listening, and please tune in next month as I continue to address the important issues facing our nation.